Yes, hello guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about solidarity mechanism. So you see, most of the time, players are being sold, and the general population always think like, okay, this player is sold. They don't know where the player came from, and they just feel like, let's take for example, there's a player is sold for 50 million, and they just feel it's just the selling club who has that money and giving who receives, or it's just the buying club. The buying club sells the player. The club who buys sends the money to the selling club, and the money just ends there. No, that's not it. So you're in for a shocker. So stay still, and I'm going to give you huge details on what happens actually when a player is being sold or being transferred to another club. So, so we're going to be talking. This is where it leads me to solidarity mechanism. So take your pen and paper, and also you're going to get a lot of value from this. If you're an agent, a sporting director, or whosoever you are, if I'm going to reveal some tips that you people don't know that can help you improve your knowledge when it comes to football transfers or FIFA regulation whatsoever. So let's make this nice. So take your pen and paper and let's enjoy this session. So first of all, when transfers are being done, most people always just feel like it's between two clubs. Yes, of course, it's between two clubs, but there are also a lot of things being involved behind. So I'm going to be giving you a structural approach on this so that you really understand this. So I'm going to break it down into, let's say, bare bones so that you can understand it. So chill and relax. Do you have a popcorn by your side? Then you can eat. Okay, let's go. Okay. So first, you getting what is solidarity mechanism, percentage and age of solidarity mechanism. I'm going to break it down. What do you need to claim it? Can I give you an example of solidarity mechanism and final takeaway of how it works? So those are the model I'm going to follow, so that at least I give you a vivid or a brief idea on how to understand. So first of all, solidarity mechanism. Let me give it first in short and in a plain normal line, so that at least I don't want to give it in a term that it's like difficult term. I want to make it so that someone who is like let me say a 12-year-old can understand what I'm saying. If it's so solidarity mechanism, according to layman terms, is like when, let's say, I give an example, an academic team trains a player, trains a player, then a professional club, for example, comes and buy that player for, let's say, 13 years. That player is still 13 years. And when that player arrives at that club at 13, he progressed up to the extent that he makes his debut to the first team at the age of 18. Then after that, 2 years after, then he's sold to another club. So when he's sold to another club 2 years after, there's a certain percentage that the team that trained that kid is going to, that trained that player is going to get. That is what we call solidarity mechanism. So hold on tight, for we are still going. So most clubs don't actually realize that when they sell player, they can still have an option to get certain money for that player if that player is a good player or progresses with his career. Most clubs never really understand this, but they need people like lawyer or whoever to tell them through, or agents to keep telling them this. So you can imagine the amount of clubs who have, let's say, lose money just because maybe a good player. Or let's take this example. Do you know the situation when, let's take for example, a player comes to your club and he plays, and out of a sudden he says, "Well, I'm leaving." That player has played in your club within a specific age, and that age is between 12 to 23. That player passed through your club. Then he plays, then he leaves. Then you people, because the player has left your club, people never bothered. The president just moved on, and everyone forgot about what happened. But because you don't know the law, that if that player goes and sign for another club and keep doing well, you should be getting a certain percentage because you had that player within a specific age. Because you don't know the law, you let that money pass on the table. That money you could use and invest into your academy or whatsoever. So this is the help of solidarity mechanism. But let's go again. So that's the problem. That so as I said, most problems that the clubs They're not aware of this. They don't have an idea of this. No one has ever told them this. And yes, if no one tells you anything, you are not going to know. So that's why FIFA brought this system into play. Let's take for example, because there was a time where, let's take for example, people training players, big clubs come and buy the players, and of course you're discouraged because you never have anything. Big clubs come and buy the players, and you said what's left with you, or the player, since the player is at amateur level, or a player was at amateur level, he leaves and go that, well, after 1 year I'm leaving because people have no prospect. But you as an amateur club, if you have someone, you register and put that person into the system, he plays a season with you, with between the age of 12 to 23. When that player goes and sign professional somewhere, you have certain percentage of money that you can get. So this is that solidarity mechanism. So if you have not been thinking of this, or so if you're a club, keep records of all the players who pass through you that you feel this person has a chance of making it pro, for you have certain percentage in the future for that player. So how did this even come into action? What is even this solidarity mechanism, and how did it come about? So you see, as I said, FIFA discovered that most teams, amateur clubs that are grassroots level, they couldn't stand a chance of resisting when the big clubs come calling for their players, because the players just walk away and goes to the big club, and you won't blame the players. So FIFA had to put in this protection that at least for the grassroots level, or for the teams that are below, for them to have something to benefit and or to motivate them, they created this cost solidarity mechanism that can help the players. I mean, that can help the team receive certain percentage. So this can make now also certain teams look at this as their model to say, okay, we're going to look for hidden gems, train them hard, and then so that when the big clubs come calling, we sell them and get certain amount of money. But when these players keep moving to other teams, we still get certain percentages. So that's how solidarity mechanism work. That, for example, let me give a clear example. A clear example was the Neymar situation. So let's break this down. So Neymar was trained by Santos, and he moved to Barcelona. Okay, when he moved to Barcelona, it was okay. But now when he moved to Paris, Santos had to have a percentage of training him within from his young age to certain age. Do you know how much Santos received? Santos received, it's shocking, they received 8.9 million. That's closer to 9 million euros just for solidarity mechanism, because they trained Neymar throughout his formative years to going to the later stages of his of when he already turned more than a teenager, because he arrived Barcelona at the age, if I'm not mistaken, 2021. Yes. So all those years that he trained at Santos, Santos had to receive solidarity mechanism for that, because they were the club who gave him the training. They trained him when he was too young. So this is where solidarity mechanism applies. So I'm going to give it also, if you have a pen and paper. So from the age of 12 to 15, which is the beginning of the year that you start collecting solidarity mechanism. From the age of 12 to 15, the club gets 0.25% per year. And then from the age of 16 to 23, it increases. From the age of 16 to, it increases, and it can increase from 0.5 to about 1% per year, depending on the age also. So let's say, for example, so if your club trained a player from the age of 14 to 18, the club could receive probably like 1.5% of the transfer fee. So you can imagine how huge it is receiving 1.5% of a transfer fee. So let's say if a player gets like Neymar was sold for 220 million, so you can imagine let's say even if it was 1.5% of the transfer, you could see how it could change. So that is how solidarity mechanism works, and it helps a lot of grassroots clubs to improve, to keep improving their facilities because they get money from training hidden gems, from finding hidden gems, selling them, and reinvesting them into their coffers. A good team that will really, let me say, a good Premier League team that will really have money for this is, let's take for example Brighton. Because Brighton's model is just to train and sell. So let's take for example, let's McAllister is from Brighton. McAllister is from Brighton. So if he sold to Liverpool, so if Liverpool sells him to another team, that's Brighton gets a solidarity mechanism there. So also Caicedo, if Caicedo just goes to another team, the situation changes. So solidarity mechanism is actually good for players that you see they like to move clubs. Let's take for example Zlatan. I think Zlatan's team is a good example because he moved a lot of clubs. So I think Zlatan, the team who trained him, let's say probably Malmo was his team in Sweden, must have benefited a lot of solidarity mechanism from Zlatan because not only Malmo but Ajax, because Zlatan moved, Ajax would have also benefited because when Zlatan moved to Europe, he moved from Malmo to Ajax. Yes, so Ajax must have also benefited, and a lot of these clubs also must have benefited at the age of till Zlatan would have turned, till the moment Zlatan turned 24, before those benefits disappeared. But any club who trained Zlatan from the age of 12 to 23, while Ibrahimovic was moving to different clubs, they were getting a certain percentage of solidarity mechanism. So I hope you guys understand this solidarity mechanism thing, because I'm trying to really use basic examples to really make it clear for you guys. But anyways, hope you people understood this and it helps you people, and also it helps you that you improve your knowledge based on this kind of thing, so that at least it can help you get certain money you have been leaving on the table and you don't, or you are not aware of. Let me not say you have been leaving on the table because you are not aware of what is solidarity mechanism. But that's why this channel is here, for you to learn these things, these rules that I give. So anyways, it's nice always discussing these things because it also puts my brain active to learn a lot of things. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the session, and when you see this video, enjoy, share, like, and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification. And see you tomorrow. Take care. Cheers.